4K?
It is 4K.
Okay. All right. Let's see
Here
if
we
it
go.
works.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome. How you doing, dude?
Good, man. Just trying out this StreamYard thing, like you said. Seeing if it actually oh, look, I just went live on there. Interesting.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, people on Twitter can comment. What's going on? Oh, hello. How's it going? Welcome. Wow.
Man, maybe I should have shaved. Now that I think about it, now
shaved.
it's streaming a little bit bigger, so now I should have shaved. All right, whatever. Whatever. You don't need a pretty Kris to get good ideas. So.
That's right. I mean, we already got the pretty Kris, so we don't even need to worry about that either. People just tune here just for your looks, dude. They don't tune here for anything else. They don't care about your DD. They just want the looks.
All right, let's just get into it, man. Let's just get started. Okay.
All right. Well, that's the show. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. Dude, what the hell happened last week? Like,
what do you mean?
Last one. Okay, so basically for the last month, people are saying we're going to expect a correction, right? And then, boom, CPI comes in a little bit cool, and then the market's back to all-time highs. It's just like,
well, I don't think it
was.
It wasn't just the CPI. I think there was a lot of uncertainty around what Trump would do, and when Trump came in, this week it was executive order after executive order, but some of the more creative things about day one tariffs on Mexico and Canada, they didn't go into effect right away. So I think some people are still holding out on hope that that's something that may not happen. And then some of the other stuff with Scott Bessent, coming out and just basically saying, that they are going to do what they can to fight inflation. A lot of the nominees, when they were talking about specific things about how their departments would handle budgets, they were very conservative, right? So they're trying to do more with less. And I think that's going to be the key to this administration, in which case, if you, like I said, if you're in the Milton Friedman camp, like I'm of the mind that if government does cut back on spending, that should theoretically help with getting inflation down, right? So we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Trump is in a $600 billion agreement for trade with Saudi Arabia. And then he proposed a $500 billion AI spend. And this is the assumption that's going to happen over the next 4 years, right? Or at least during his presidency. I don't know about the AI Stargate stuff, but he came to the agreement with the Saudi Arabia. So that's already $1.1 trillion in the next 4 years. The projected spend for Donald Trump during his candidacy was 13 trillion about. So he already knocked out, about 10%, almost 10% of his budget in just first couple days.
Explain to me, what do you mean? What's the deal with Saudi Arabia? I didn't see anything about that.
Okay. Let's see here. I'll try to look for it. But basically, he sat down with one of the leaders of Saudi Arabia, and they came to an agreement that they would have an additional import of $600 billion. I don't know exactly what it was, but there was a $600 billion spend with Saudi Arabia in addition to the $500 billion that he talked about with Stargate AI. So that's already $1 trillion. That's 1.1 trillion of the 13 trillion that he was already proposed to spend before he became president.
I have to look that up. I have to figure out what all of these things mean, whether these are actual dollars that they're spent, or it's economic value that they're talking about.
Monopoly money. It's monopoly money. Here, all right,
I don't say monopoly money, but it's. I've seen this happen so many times where people be "Oh, we're gonna spend X," and it's yeah, where are you supposed to get that money from? So it's something that we have to look in new investment and trade over the next 4 years.
So let's see here. Saudi Arabia. I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Why don't we ask ChatGPT? We'll do that later. But anyways, $600 investment in trade with the United States over the next 4 years. We're spending $600 billion on them. That's what this is. So,
well, it says the reports that Saudi Arabia wants investment in to capitalize on these conditions. It did not detail the source of the $600 billion, whether it be public or private spending. So, I mean, see, this is what I mean. Sometimes a lot of these headlines can be a little bit hyperbolic, And it could be something as simple as the Saudi Arabian, prince is talking about investing X dollars into the US. I
No,
mean,
I mean
it
it's a
might, yeah,
headline. It's obviously like it's
yeah,
day 4 of his presidency, day 3 of his presidency. Like this doesn't mean anything. Like it's not
yeah.
like we're gonna get the federal income tax like taken away, as he said to New York Times. Like
Wait,
that doesn't mean that's
go
gonna happen. You know?
go back to that article again. It's at
Yeah,
G20 economic summit in Osaka. Oh, that's just a picture. I was like,
yeah.
they didn't even really have
No,
a G20 in
no,
Osaka yet.
yeah, they didn't do that.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, I don't want to go through the whole article. I'll post a link in the chat. You know, do your own due diligence. Like, I'm not going to read this article and be like, oh, well, that's 600. I'm just saying that this is what affects the market, not in
Yeah.
terms of what he's actually spending, but what he says he's going to spend. And I don't know if the market's figured out that he's just all talk. But if the market does figure out that he's all talk, then I think we wouldn't see the price action we'd be seeing today. So this is the article.
I mean, to me, when I look at this stuff, I just see people trying to grab headlines where they're trying to get in good with the Trump administration. So they'll say like, "Oh, look, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and blah blah blah." And Trump
Really?
is
Because
like, yeah.
the $500 billion spent for Stargate AI certainly was not people trying to get anything, right? So like I'm saying that we didn't spend that $500 billion yet. And he can't even say he's going to do that. Like he says he could do that, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Right. So
Yeah,
what I'm saying
I
is
mean,
that
some of that money
the market prices it in.
I looked at that whole thing, and my thing is some of that money was going to be spent over the next 4 years anyway. It's like everyone knew that AI CapEx spend was going to see a substantial rise in the next few years. As like all the stuff is ramping up with AI. I mean, like I said, I think this is kind of stuff that was going to happen anyway. But these guys are capitalizing on being like, oh yeah, it's because of President Trump that this is happening. Yay. Like Sam Altman said before the election, like, hey, they're running out of compute, so they needed to build these data centers anyway. But so it's almost like, I don't want to say it's like disingenuous, but it's like, do you think OpenAI wasn't going to spend money on building new data centers? You think SoftBank wasn't going to do it? Oracle wasn't going to spend money on data centers? Like,
No, I mean, this is
so
actually old news. Like it's not anything new. But the headline hits the board, the market runs away with it. Next thing you know, Oracle's up 20% in the last 3 days. So Larry Ellison is even richer now. And the mofo was already rich to begin with. So the richer just keep running richer. So we'll see what happens with that. But the point is that we went from the market's going to for sure have a correction. S&P 500's down 5.5% to hitting new all-time highs intraday, right? So that's my point, is that my sentiment changes very fast once price action changes.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Never ceases to surprise me, and I shouldn't be surprised because this is just how this is what makes the stock market. But these swings are way more common today than they were 5 or 10 years ago, before algos are running the market 95% of the market. So I mean, we'll see, man.
It's also big participation from retail investors. Also, retail investors
Mostly
are more
algos.
likely to react. You think it's just algos? I think it's a reinforcing.
No, it's
cycle.
not just algos. It's not just
algos.
Computer algorithms run, I think it's like 80 to 85 to 90% of all the market movements. But we got to remember is that retail kind of pushes it to its limits, right? So you have the computer trading off of whatever technicals and headlines and all that stuff. And then you have people push it, and then they react to those levels as well. I mean, like it's a bunch of everything, but at the same time, it's like it's mostly computers. And that's why it happens so quickly.
Yep. Okay. All right. So what's the first thing that we should get into real quick?
Well, I mean, the thing is that I kind of want to talk about the pullback first, because that kind of leads into the reason why we got the pullback. One, there's a sentiment change of positioning, but then also, what have you noticed pull back from 110 plus in the last week that was expected to continue rising? And in addition to that, yields have pretty much pulled back considerably since they're high. And really, I mean, the yields and the dollar situation that actually started happening before Trump was inaugurated. But again, this has to do with CPI. Did you get a chance to look at the CPI report?
For the most part, yeah. Like the biggest rise was like automotive insurance, but then it was weird because like the other side of the data, used cars and new car sales,
It's way up.
the median pricing on that was actually lower. So
Let's see here. Yeah, so we got the CPI, and headline CPI came in at 0.4% month over month.
scroll in real quick.
There we go. This is probably what we're looking for.
You give me too much credit, Harry. Philosopher, historian, scholar, economist, millionaire, legend. Yeah. Nah, I'm just your local mouthpiece that isn't
You
afraid
guys,
isn't afraid to say what he's thinking. That's about it.
that's a lot of that's a lot of nouns.
I like it. I like it. If I ever get a
Legend.
tombstone, I'm gonna make sure that that gets put on there. Yeah.
If you're one of those, which one would you be?
Neither, bro. None of them.
What?
Yeah, none of them.
Okay. Well, you probably accomplished half of those, so there you go.
No.
All right, so let's take a look at this over here. I'll make this full screen. For December,
Can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor? Instead of looking at this, go to Lizanne Saunders and like her CPI chart, because I think for viewers, whenever you just look at raw numbers, it can be a little bit like like it could be a little jarring to figure that out, especially on a year-over-year basis. If you want, I can pull it up too.
I got it up. Hold up. Let me share this one.
Chancellor. Oof, that's bad.
This one?
No, no, keep growing. It's from last week. It's from last week. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going. I'll tell you when to stop. Keep going. Bro, she's like full of charts, but she's really good with that. I really like, she has like everything, equity inflows. She just like chills by her Bloomberg terminal and just posts what she can. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling.
Well, when you're the CIO of Charles Schwab, you better you better know what you're doing.
I think it's one of those that just passed up.
I believe
higher up,
this is data.
Higher up.
Yeah,
one more. Come on, there you go, right there. Those links right there. I think. No, that wasn't it.
No, this is performance.
Yeah, let me actually just find it. Yeah, if you're not following Lizanne Saunders, highly recommend people follow her, because she's got a lot of great data points on macro level events.
Production.
And those macro events can help us kind of determine what's actually happening in the market. And sometimes it's just a matter of making sure that you have the right visibility into things. Man, she posts like a lot of stuff real time. So sometimes like the volume of stuff is just...
Actually, when was CPI? It was the 15th, so I got to go pretty far back here, actually, unless you posted the day after.
Yeah.
This is actually interesting. I saw this one. The Fed now GDP, the GDP now for Atlanta Fed actually ticked up. It's been continuing to tick up. I thought I was
okay. I found it. I think I found it.
You can share a screen.
Okay, here we go. Okay. So right here, this was December CPI year over year. So you can see the biggest categories and increases was motor vehicle insurance. And then at the other end of it was used cars and new cars. I think one of the reasons why this is important is because, one, you know, people have been talking about a supply glut in new and used cars, like inventory sitting on dealer lots that they're trying to move right now. And so some of the major manufacturers, they've been putting out some really attractive pricing. Like Stellantis especially has been doing crazy deals right now. So Stellantis is a combination of Dodge, Jeep, and Chrysler. So if you're seeing a lot of their inventory, it's being marked down significantly. And the thing is, like, a lot of them did raise their MSRP significantly during, you know, post-COVID, but a lot of that stuff is just not selling, and so they're discounting heavily. So you're starting to see those make into the market. They're also seeing other data points, which is showing the auto delinquency rates are rising, which means more cars are being repossessed and going on to auction lots and then after auction goes to dealership lots. So you're seeing used car prices actually negative. So used cars are down 3.3%. New cars are down slightly. The biggest thing is motor vehicle insurance, but motor vehicle insurance tends to be a lagging indicator, right? So you're seeing that right now that motor vehicle insurance leads the way in just the breadth of inflation year over year, but eventually that'll come down, and that should bring things down. And same thing with like owner's equivalent rent. You're starting to see owner's equivalent rent kind of like top out, and it's actually coming down significantly. If you look at more real data points, like that are not just based on surveys, like these guys, let me just bring it up because you can actually see me. Redfin actually does have some good data points. Redfin rental data. You can actually see that on average at the national level, you're starting to see rent kind of like flatten out and actually go down. So depending on which region you're looking at, you could see a dramatic shift. So if you look here, January of 22 and like between in 22, you had pretty much the peak, which was, what is this, August of 22. And then since then, rent has been stabilizing, coming down. And like I said, it depends on which region you are that this is actually happening. And let me just bring it up. Let's see. Yeah. So
state.
Oh, yeah. I don't know which state you want to look at. Like if you want to look at, let's say, like the most impacted ones are probably like Florida and Texas, because those had the largest increases in inventory. But then there's also Arizona too. So like let's say Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, that's what's included in the population? Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. So you can see here it's pretty much gone. Like I said, we'd have to figure out.
Well, they're all trending down. You could see they're all trending down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some areas are trending down more than others. So
go
eventually,
to
I wish
go
this
to
thing
Austin,
could just
Texas, real quick.
Okay.
Austin.
Let's see, Austin, Texas.
And then do Los Angeles after.
Okay, so let's do Austin, Texas. Yeah. So here it is. This is like 1, 2, 3 bedrooms for Austin, Texas. Let's just do a simple
look at that freaking
number.
drop, man. Look at that drop.
Let's just do 2 bedroom. Look at that. 2 bedrooms in Austin, Texas.
This is the
Tucson,
one that's going to
Arizona.
catch. Yeah, this is they always say that the rest of the market's going to catch up, and in terms of CPI, this is what's going to catch down, because I don't think there's been a lot of data that's been showing that this is definitely going to catch down. And when this does catch down, we got to remember owner's equivalent rent is one of the largest components of core CPI. So when that catches down, it's going to bring all of CPI with it. I don't think that it's going to be like a catastrophic drop. I think that's going to be more normalizing to bring us to probably like that mid to upper 2% that the Fed has changed the narrative on and starting to look for. But I mean, we'll see. It might be a little bit stickier than people expect, in my opinion, but we'll see.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the market had, because of some of the earlier data points, had projected maybe like a 1 rate cut and maybe even 0.5 rate cuts, which is, there's no 0.5. It's just the chances of it. But I think it's probably going to be closer to 4 rate cuts by the end of this year. And if we end up getting 4 rate cuts, that means that the valuations, the market expectations are not baked in. And so as data is getting better and you're starting to see probably the impacts of the Trump policies come in line, you're likely to see the market price in more rate cuts, which means 10-year treasury would come down. Also, the Dixie's been going down as well. So that was
what I wanted to bring up. Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. The dollar. A lot of people they don't. It's funny because, it's not funny in the sense that like I knew it was going to happen, but I never called it when the dollar was going to drop. But the dollar was always sort of liquidity indicator in terms of the trend that it's going. Like if the dollar is rising, the dollar is dropping, that tends to signify not even signify, that is liquidity. That is the measure of liquidity in the market. Let me actually bring a chart of the dollar up real quick. So as I'm loading this, I'll just kind of explain it. But if the dollar goes up, that means that more countries are losing its power against the US dollar. When I say its power, I mean their currency power against the US dollar. And in order to keep their economy propped up and not have their economy go to catastrophic doom, they need to, their central banks need to buy their own currency to keep it up against the US dollar. For them to do that, they need to sell their assets, which is almost all the countries' assets are usually tied into US treasuries. They need to sell US treasuries and then buy buy their own currency to prop up against the US dollar. That's the reason why we've been seeing yields rising with the US dollar. That doesn't explain so much the dynamics of the other markets, but there's a certain point where the dollar, but in other words, yields starts to be a concern for the market. Do you follow someone named Warren Pies?
No.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to bring a tweet from him where he was basically talking about that upper range where the market starts to slow down its rallying based on the levels the US 10-year is at. So I got over here. I should have actually brought this up earlier, but it got me thinking right now regarding this. If you guys don't follow Warren Pies, I really suggest you follow him. He has some really good content that he comes out with. Let's see here. Yep, this is the post. So he basically says that whenever the US 10-year treasury hits the upper end of its 63-day range, specifically the 80 percentile of its 63-day range, then that's when the S&P 500 starts to slow down a little bit. So if you look all the way back here, the S&P 500 during 2022 was, I want to say sideways, but it's in terms of like where it was going, it was kind of range bound for a little bit, and like it started to creep up probably toward the end of 2022. And see how yields here were kind of flat. So the S&P 500 was like kind of slowed down here. And then the S&P 500 started rallying a little bit, and then it started to flatten out when the yields were up here and so on. Like if you look at this chart, I'll even post it in the chat. If you look at this chart, like you could see that when yields get up to a certain point around this time, yields were around 4.63% for 10-year. Above that, I think we got up to about 4.8%. That's when the S&P 500 was kind of like going sideways, dropping a little bit, but basically not making like all-time high after all-time high. Now we're probably less than 4.6. I think we're at about 4.63%. But you could see that like once the yields drop, like the market just went balls to the wall bullish. And that's where we are today. We're pretty much near all-time highs. 10-year yield has pulled back quite a bit. The US dollar has pulled back quite a bit. And I mean, I think there's a certain expectation that we're going to continue to see this for the market rally to continue. But, that's really for the data to come out. We'll see what kind of data comes out. I think, we got the earnings that are coming up. Usually during like earnings weeks or earnings seasons, that's when the market just pretty much rallies in anticipation for the earnings that are coming out. We already had Netflix earnings yesterday, which were pretty good. I mean, Netflix they're a leader in the streaming market, so they never cease to surprise the market to the upside. But next week is going to be a big week, dude. Very big week next week. Yeah. And that will probably tell where the market's going to go after seeing what those earnings end up being like. If they're good, then, we'll probably see a fresh couple of quarters, fresh couple of days of rallying into that. I'm looking at the earnings for Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, mostly because I'm more concerned about the cloud computing, whether that continues to reaccelerate or whether that continues its margin expansion, specifically with Amazon. I mean, that is my biggest position, but that'll be pretty important and telling for a lot of the software stocks that are out there. In my opinion, I think, and we already see it. A lot of the software stocks have been coming back lately. I mean, Snowflake is about 50% up from its bottom around 110. It's trading like around 175 right now. So my calls are doing pretty good. But I mean, I think I don't mean to be like balls to the wall bullish, but if the market stays up, right? Like I'm not gonna be like purely optimistic and say, Snowflake's gonna hit 200 while the market's down like 10%. Like that's not gonna fucking happen, right? But if the AI narrative continues and the market stays, somewhat in a good place, I think Snowflake will continue to outperform the market, and it already has. Like it's even Microsoft isn't beating the S&P 500 year to date. So like we'll we'll see what happens with these earnings that are coming up. I'm very interested to see them.
Yeah, for me, I think my biggest position when it comes to like big tech is Google. And I'll show you guys the data points why. It's
Amazon and Google are like one of the only mega caps that are outperforming the market right now.
Yeah. Let me just share. No, not that. Chrome tab, entire screen. Let me just share my screen. Can you guys see?
I can see myself. Okay, there we go.
Okay, you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so you've got, this is Google's earnings statements, right? So you can see here, number one, the revenue growth on a TTM basis, it's in reacceleration mode, which is always a good thing to see. But on top of it, their margins are also improving significantly. So profit margins literally went from 20% now to almost 27%. EBITDA has been rising, and it's pretty much all-time highs on EBITDA. And at the same time, they're doing a ton of share buybacks. Cash flows are healthy. One of the most undervalued segments that they have that's growing tremendously, because everyone keeps looking at just pretty much their Google search business, is actually Google Cloud. Look at that. Operating income from Google Cloud literally was negative in 2020, they were losing about 5.6 billion. Now they're generating on the opposite at almost 4.9 billion, and this number is likely to keep going up for a pretty good period of time, especially with AI spend going through the roof. This is going to be a big driver for them.
But I don't know, man. With all this hype about quantum computing, who knows what crazy companies are starting to put a lot of money toward the advanced computing for quantum computing capabilities. I mean, maybe they're not like buying as much compute to like even make a difference, or maybe they're trying to do something on their own, but like, as far as mega caps goes, like they're the ones who's actually public about it and talking about Willow. Like I feel like, I feel like Google is probably not probably, like they are the leader when it comes to quantum computing in the mega cap space. They're leading the narrative per se. I mean, you have like these smaller companies, IONQ and QUBT and stuff like that. Yeah, they got pretty good narrative, but like their revenue does not match. Like they're certainly not profitable.
There's one thing to also keep in mind with Google. If you look at their operating expenses, right? R&D. Okay, so let's look at each one. So EU commission fines, of course, is a negligible amount, but their general administration costs have actually been trending down, right? Which is really good. That means their revenue and profits are going up, but their expenses are going down. Sales and marketing is pretty much flatlined, right? And then research and development, which is still going up, which is good because that's what you want to see for future growth, is the only driver of additional expenses. So I'm telling you, Google's definitely the one to watch out for. And I think if you look at it both on EPS basis and everything else, they're pretty good, And also, like, because of their massive share buyback program, if you look at their outstanding shares on a diluted basis and you just do a 12-month trailing, you can see right here. Look at this decline. So they went from literally like 14 billion shares outstanding to now 12.5, in a matter of 5 years. And the more and more profits they're generating, they're just accelerating their buybacks, and they actually have a dividend now too. I mean, I think a lot of people are underestimating Google's potential, and it'll work out how it is. And right now, among the mega caps, their PE is only like on a forward basis 21. So
yeah. I mean, historically, their PE does generally trade cheaper than a lot of the other mega caps, but I mean, in my opinion, so has their sentiment. But we've seen what happens when sentiment gets very bad and then very good for a while. Like people just dive into shit. I definitely think there's a little bit. I think there's a lot of upside for Google, as well as Amazon. I mean, no surprise that these two are the ones that are performing the best out of pretty much all the mega caps right now, year to date. I mean, it's only I'm not like trying to say that as saying like, oh, this is the assumption going forward. But obviously, I want these companies to do well. These are pretty much the only two mega caps that I own in my portfolio, so I want them to do very well. But overall, like the fundamentals really support it, and so do the technicals. When those two things line up, man, that's a freaking trifecta right there.
The other thing also.
Oh, go ahead.
the other thing is, even from their new businesses that may not be like fully aware, but if you look at this growth curve in, let me just share the screen right here for their Waymo ridership. Waymo is starting to really, really make a dent, and they have huge expansion plans next year. So I'd say, from a disruptive technology standpoint, Waymo right now is worth about $45 billion from last estimate, I think, on their capital raises. But that very well could jump to about 100 to 200 billion within a year or two, if the autonomous taxi network that they've built starts to get really like upsized. So definitely keep this thing in mind, man. So not
Yeah,
only
dude,
does Google
honestly,
have its own core business doing well, but then you've got these side businesses that are adding to the mix. So, and like I said, when you look at the valuations compared to everyone else, like hold on, let me just bring it up here. Any charts? Our charts. This guy, I love this guy's charting.
dude, Edward
Uh,
Yardini is the fucking man. Like, people
yeah.
don't really appreciate Ed Yardini. Like, they're always looking at Tom Lee, as the Uber bull for this bull market. But like, dude, Ed Yardini has been bullish as hell, and he pretty much like sits at bottom. I think he is coming to this year like a little cautious, 2025. But I mean, who the fuck
Yeah.
isn't? But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, he posts some very good, and this is all free on his website.
Yeah. So
Why don't you put
earnings
the link in the
growth.
chat? Put the link in the chat when you get a chance.
Yeah, I just need to find the one that's like the PEs based on each one of the. Okay, so this is a forward PEs for all the mega caps, and if you see Alphabet in red, it's at the lowest one
Yeah, this
possible.
is what I'm saying. It is
Yeah,
the it has if we correlate PE with sentiment, which really at the end of the day, like, it's a big defining trait for where a stock is trading as far as sentiment goes. Like, look at
yeah,
this freaking chart, dude. Like, it is all the way down there. Like, just
yeah.
I don't know why it still is. I don't know why it's still trading as low or as
It's
cheap from this
it's
metric compared to the other
it,
companies right now.
it's mainly because of this whole thing with the DOJ lawsuit, with seeing if they could break Google up. But based on what I'm seeing with how close Sundar and Trump got during the inauguration, and Sergey Brin being there, I think the DOJ is likely to kind of, I don't want to say like give them a pass, but basically like give them a slap on the wrist rather than just trying to break them up completely. Because I think one of the things that Trump even brought up is that, like China is afraid of Google. So I want Google to be like a strong company. So
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting when it comes to Google, is that I think out of all of the, I mean, a lot of people, they talk about AI and accelerated computing, but ultimately, like, what is accelerated computing if you're not dealing with data, right? So
yeah.
out of all the mega caps, besides Tesla, probably, which one has the most amount of data collectively from the entire world?
Mhm.
It's fucking
Google.
Google. They
Yeah.
they've been collecting data since they got popular with the search engine, and since then they've been multiplying their data exponentially. And what
Yeah.
value is there in anything that we do unless we collect data? Like, companies pay billions of dollars for data, right? They want to know what
Mhm.
people are doing so they can direct where they're spending their money to be able to attract that population. Yeah, there you go, Zocold. Yeah, it's Google, right? So I think people are underestimating how important Google is going to be in this entire AI race, right? Like, if you don't
Yeah.
have the data, what the hell are you going to process, and who's going to pay
Yeah.
you for it, right? Like, I think it's total gold. That's what I mean. Google is definitely going to do
Yeah.
well, in my
And
opinion, over
all,
the next few
and
years.
then also remember last quarter there was going to be a huge
Oh, you
bump
know
because of
what?
election spending.
Sorry, I mean to correct
You
myself.
know.
Peter Wigley is also right. Meta also has a
Yeah.
lot of data, but you got to remember that Meta has a lot of consumer data. So their data is kind of like a subset of what they're looking for. Google has data from pretty much almost every single entity, from the advertising sector to what people want to do, to their own social media through means of looking through Google or search engines, through AI models that are available.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I can't even think of anything else. Like, they also have Google Maps and so on. Like, I
Yeah.
would say personally that Google probably they mine the most amount of data to date out of any other company in the entire world.
Yeah.
Sorry,
The
sorry,
ch-
man. Go ahead.
check this thing out right here, and I think this is one of the reasons why I'm bullish on it. So, Trump was asked point blank what he's going to do about Google. So
treat me badly.
Hold on.
Defend against it.
Yeah.
TikTok and the threat people see to many kind of American children and things like that.
Yeah, but
why do you no longer see TikTok as a security threat?
I think it is a threat. Frankly, I think everything's a threat. There's nothing that's not a threat. But sometimes you have to fight through these threats. You can't just, like Google. I'm not a fan of Google. They treat me badly. But are you going to destroy the company by doing that? If you do that, are you going to destroy the company? What you can do without breaking it up is make sure that it's more fair. They do treat me very badly. Oh, and he told me, no way, you're the #1 person on all of Google for stories. I mean, which probably makes sense, to be honest with you. I actually believe most of them are bad stories, but these are minor details, right? And it's only bad because of fake news, because the news is really fake. That's the one we really have to straighten. We have to straighten out our press because we have a corrupt press. That's the one we really.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you about Silicon? I was in Silicon Valley recently. You talked to the tech bosses there and the tech people, and there seems to be a real fear that what you would do with tech is you would hand it over to Elon Musk and say, "You sort it out."
No, I have great respect for Elon. Look, I saw that rocket ship come in yesterday and go right back to where it took off, to the gantry, I guess they call it. And I said, what the hell? I was on a phone talking about—
When was this?
Politics. And the television,
about a month and a half before the election.
And I'm seeing
I think
this
a month
big thing where the white paint was burned off it from the, thousands of miles an hour they heat. And I see this big, massive tube that's 10 stories, 20 stories tall come down. I told the person on the phone, wait a minute, I'm seeing something I don't believe it. Neither does anybody else here. And I said, wait a minute. I forgot the guy was on the phone. He waited for a half hour. And I watched that come down. And I watched it come down and come right in between those big levers. And I said, and it looked to me like it was going to crash. It was coming in hot. And all of a sudden, boom, you see the motor, the fire kick in. And I called Elon. I said, that's the most incredible thing. I said, can Russia do that? Nope. I said, can the United States do it? Nope. He's the only one that can do it. And I said,
you now want to put him in charge of deregulation.
Not deregulation, cutting.
Cutting wasteful spending.
Cutting.
Every single president, including
deregulation.
Every president comes in and talks about cutting wasteful spending.
Oh, there's tremendous ways.
Give me an example of something you will do that will get rid
of 2 Boeing 747. 3, 5.7 is too much. 5.7 smaller plane, the whole thing. The United, not really, sir. They just,
all right.
This price is not a problem.
So you're on mute, dude.
Basically, the gist of it was that Trump explained that China is afraid of Google. I don't want to break up Google. That's the basic gist of it, So,
dude, every time I've seen that clip so many times, and I'm not trying to make fun of it or anything. I'm making fun of it. But every single time I hear Trump praising Elon Musk for his rocket ships, it reminds me of Chappelle's show when he did a parody of George W. Bush. I just want to play. Don't worry, it's censored, so it's not. There's not going to be any cursing or swearing. But yeah,
dude, I know every single one of these things. Yeah, go ahead.
What did I say? I'm not gloating. What did I say? Did I say that we were winning? We rocked them, Bama. We rocked them. Nigga, you see me coming on that plane?
Man, I love that show. I
love Chappelle's show too, man.
It's unbelievable, how early his humor was for his time, and it's great that it was back then, because if this would not be here today, well, maybe actually now, but last year, this show would never be released, ever. And it's just.
Did you see the one? Hold on,
I saw all of them.
Did you? Hold on, this one, because this literally feels like we're living through this right now. Check this out.
He knew what was gonna happen, man.
Yeah.
Goes to war with. We first have to provide evidence that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. So far, the UN has found nothing. But President Bush counters with this.
Wait,
The
hold
nigga
on.
bought too.
Okay.
He'll tell you what the fuck you can do with an aluminum tube. Aluminum! That don't scare you?
Wait,
Fine.
hit pause. Hit pause.
Hold on. Yeah.
No. It just they dropped some words there that I don't want to play on here.
Yeah. All right.
We have to play the censored version. I don't want to offend anyone. Like, I apologize, everyone. Like, we get a little carried away, but like Chappelle's show is really funny. We don't mean to offend anyone. Apologize.
Yeah. Let's just finish it. Hold on. Let's just finish it. Come on.
Okay, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want it
Yeah.
to say that. I don't want it to say it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say that word because we have 1,400 people here. So
It's fine. It's
I
fine.
don't want.
It's fine. It's fine. Come on. Finish it.
The motherfucker bought some yellow cake, okay, in Africa. He went to Africa and he bought yellow cake.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure, bitch. I got y'all niggas don't believe me. So I got it wrapped. Yellow cake.
This administration is that Sodom is control of the oil that Iraq is sitting on.
What about people who say you're only interested in the Middle East for oil?
What? Huh? Oil? Who said something about oil, bitch? You cooking? Oh.
Dude. It's the clip right after this one that's hilarious. He's like, so someone's like, President Trump, like, what do you think about the economy? It's like, what you worried about the economy for?
Yeah.
We're going to Mars, people. Mars,
Mars, bitches. Dude, every single time I see one of you people on YouTube talking about Rocket Lab, especially you, Matt Money, I keep on thinking about that damn clip every freaking time, and the United States of space.
Hold on. I got it. I found it. Hold on. There we go. Share that. This right here.
And on other things, namely the moon. Yes, I said it, the moon. Can't be distracted. What's going on with the war? Or what's wrong with the economy? Stop worrying about that. I got that under control. Lot of focus on space, nigga. The United States of space. Because I ain't stopping at the moon. Write this down. M-A-R-S, Mars, bitches. That's where we are going. Mars. Red rocks. Yay.
The dude is eating chicken wings during a presidential press conference. He's such a genius. Like, just such a freaking genius. Like, his comedy is amazing. Yo, did I tell you I saw that dude? I was at a comedy club in LA, off of Sunset Highway Sunset Boulevard. And they brought in Chappelle. They brought in Dave Chappelle, man. And the dude was so cracked out of his mind. Like, no, I don't even think he knew what he was talking about. But it was funny because it's Chappelle. Like, you're just going to laugh at anything that he says, right? Chappelle. And then as he's walking out, I touch his back. I touched him. I touched his back. And it was like, fuck, I touched Dave Chappelle. Kill me now. I'm good. Man. Yeah, I'm good, man. I touched.
You're like a Swift. You're like a Swiftie for Chappelle. I wouldn't be like I want to touch him. Yeah.
If Dave Chappelle like smoked a cigarette in the back and like tossed that shit, like I would freaking put that in a glass container and like that would be it right there. The Chappelle shrine.
That's kind of creepy, dude. But okay.
I'm just fucking around, dude. I'm not gonna do that shit. But honestly, Chappelle, as far as comedians goes, he's like one of the best comedians out there. Like him and Jerry Seinfeld, like they're very up there.
Yeah. Well, but pretty much let's just dial back. Yeah, so that's why I'm bullish on Google. I think there's so many verticals.
Oh shit, we got a financial podcast. I completely forgot about that.
I know. One day we should do like a Dave Chappelle marathon.
It's streaming Dave Chappelle. Well, I mean, it's fine right now because we're not monetized, but later on we can't even do that.
Yeah.
We should do a poll. See, should we play more Chappelle show clips or should we continue with the stream?
No, probably continue with the stream. Yeah,
people will probably vote for Chappelle show clips. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, so another thing to look at also is that because of these announcements, there's companies that are going to do really well when it comes to AI spend on hardware. You know, so our other position that we have, I'm not going to mention it live. It's something that we should just, like I said, keep our eye on and focusing on because I think the next few weeks are going to be important because once earnings starts to hit where we need it to, this thing will rise nicely as well. So, yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting when just to see what's going to happen next quarter. I mean, I personally think that expectations are pretty up there, but somehow I think they're going to raise expectations. I'm sorry, they're going to come above expectations. It's very difficult for a lot of these mid cap companies to miss earnings, unless your company's name starts with an A and ends with a pull, or starts with an A, ends with a pull. But I will say that someone earlier asked about Apple, and it's just, I don't know, man. The last time I got very bearish in Apple, they ended up rallying like 40% in a matter of a few months. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Apple's going to become the most expensive company in the world again. But right now, Nvidia is taking the crown again. Sorry, Mr. V, we're not going to answer that one on here. Save that with a Patreon. Anyways, the next thing I wanted to discuss was the Pelosi trades that she did recently. And this was, let me actually bring it up.
Yeah, that was smart on your part to just go long on one of those Pelosi trades that came in.
Dude, honestly, I wish, like I said I was. Like, I don't mean to be like one of those people where it's like, after the fact they say they went long it. I did kind of do that, but at the same time, it is such a small position. Like, I don't care if it goes to zero. Hey, do you know where a screenshot of that, of all the trades that she did? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, so she went long 100K Tempest AI, 1 million in Vista Corp in call options, 500K in Google call options, 500K in NVIDIA call options. Dude, I mean, it's just like, first of all, 100K to her is probably not a lot of money. But just the fact that she put money in a small cap stock, like not even small, a micro cap stock, is just kind of like, why is she going long the stock? Especially since they didn't have such the best sentiment since their last earnings report. So Tempest AI is an AI healthcare company. I don't really want to get into it because I'll just save that for the Discord. But anyways, for the most part, they had a bad earnings last quarter where they came in under expectations, and what they tried to say was like, oh yeah, so our next year's guidance is going to be really good as far as revenue goes. I think it was like around 1.3 billion, but they recently made an acquisition that would make that growth inorganic to a certain extent. So if you took their previous guidance around $900 million, and then you factored in how much the revenue was from the company that they acquired, they actually missed the guidance that they should have had, which should have been like 1.4 billion, but it ended up being 1.3 billion. I think the market kind of saw through that after its initial pump, and it's been pulled back. I think it's like over 50% down from its highs. And obviously, Pelosi said that she didn't say it, but like someone pulled up the 13F and showed that she bought $100,000 worth of call options on Tempest AI, or stock ticker TEM. And I mean, the thing is up like 35%, actually less than that.
And she bought Google. Go right back to Google again.
She bought Google. We can go back to Google, but the thing is that I looked into this company, and I'm not like, this is the best company to go long, but just the fact that she went in it, and I looked at the sentiment, looked at the chart, and it's AI related and stuff, and they're making acquisitions, they're making moves and stuff. And supposedly they're going to be adjusted EBITDA positive next quarter. Next fiscal year. I mean, it seems like just a speculative bet. So it's like, why not throw just a little bit of money at it? And the thing is up. It's up a lot. And I don't know if it's going to keep going or not, but this is like one of those things where it's like, I'm just going to buy a little bit of it, see where it goes. And, if it doubles or triples, then I'll take profits and stuff. But other than that, it's like, dude, with these kind of things, it's like, these are just moonshot bets. Like, we'll see where it goes. Right. Like, it's not like I'm going heavy with like Nubank on this thing. Like, I'm not going to put that much money in it. But when you take a company like this, it's not profitable, right? It's gotten ahead of itself. It already had its pump. It already pulled back. So that means you need like really good fundamentals in order for it to continue. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. I mean, 100K is like her per diem. It's like, it's just chump change to her. But yeah, like you're saying, 500K in Google options. Does this woman have a trading service? Because I would totally subscribe to it. What is it, like? Her trading service is like $30 a month or something. Like, she has to be having something somewhere. Like, there's just, first of all, I don't her trading is so good that people are like ears to the ground with what she's doing. And the market reacts from it. The thing was up 35% since she posted the 13F on it. Like that's just how much emphasis people put on it. And the thing is like, you take a mega caps like Google and Nvidia. It's like, I don't think that's going to see crazy pumps from that. But you remember that one stock that we went in on, and then we went long it, Palo Alto. It dropped like 40% from its earnings. And it was like, we told her, okay, let's get in this, right? And the very next fucking day, Pelosi's 13F comes in that she bought a shitload of Palo Alto. I don't know if it would happen that quickly if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, the thing with her is that she pretty much stays with like mostly blue chip companies anyway, right? Like these are not like unprofitable, like secondhand companies, So that's the one big difference between some of the stuff that she has and this one, which is, this is they just IPO. There's not a lot of data on it, so I wonder if like Pelosi has some kind of inside loop on something that's happening.
You don't need to wonder. This woman has the inside information. Like her husband is basically a trader at this point. Like it's just she doesn't need to work, and I don't know how it keeps on getting allowed, but like whatever. She's giving us good. She gives the best trade alerts I've seen on Twitter in my entire life. Like just. I think there was someone on Twitter that was like tracking her performance, right? And her performance as well as the inverse Kramer performance scales is like completely outperforming the stock market right now. It's just pretty crazy.
There we go. All right. Anything else you got on your list before we go?
That was pretty much it. I mean, I see a lot of people asking questions that
there's
I'm just
an ETF that tracks
ignore.
Nancy.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Does anybody have any questions? And then we might be able to answer them before we wrap it up.
Yeah,
that's right. The inverse Kramer. The questions, if they ask questions, that might actually come in like 30 seconds because I think there's a little bit of lag.
One of the things that we should do is dates for earnings. I think. Do you subscribe to that thing from Savvy Trader? I forget what
Earnings Hub.
Yeah, bring that up real quick if you have it. Yeah.
So this is this week. Tomorrow we got Texas Instruments, TXN, and then we got Intuitive Surgical. But Intuitive Surgical already reported ahead of time, so I don't think there's really going to be anything there. Verizon is tomorrow morning. So is HCA Healthcare, one of the largest healthcare companies, insurance providers in the entire world. Actually, not just not insurance provider. Hospital system around the entire world. Doing really good. I was actually thinking about going long them probably like a couple of years back, but obviously it didn't happen. More consumer spending data with American Express, and then next week is the big week. SoFi on Monday morning, AT&T as well. What the hell is Bro? It's not Dutch Bros, but it's like the singular version of Bro. Anyways, RCL, so more of the cruises on Tuesday morning. GM is one of the biggest clients for Aspen Aerogel, so we'll see what happens with that one. I'm actually pretty interested to see what happens with that one. Starbucks Tuesday afternoon, ASML, European chip. I forget the term for it, but they basically create all the lithography equipment for the chip manufacturing. TSM #1 client. Corning, I keep on forgetting what Corning is, but that's
glass.
Pretty
They glass. They do glass.
Okay.
Like Gorilla Glass and all that stuff.
Yeah, got it. Tesla, Microsoft, Meta, ServiceNow. Wow.
So
LCRX.
that day is going to be important. So next week is going to be pretty important for that.
Wolfspeed, let's see if they go bankrupt next Wednesday. That stock has been a perpetual downtrend for a long time. Oh, wow. Waste Management, probably the most important company. Just going to tell us how much shit we've been producing lately. MasterCard Thursday morning, UPS. Yeah, there you go. Apple is next Thursday. Intel. Atlassian. Atlassian is the company that develops the software. Jira, Confluence, in case we got some engineers or anybody working in agile technology out there. Visa, very big one. Friday morning, a bunch of gas companies and shit. So, yeah.
Okay, so I think the next week is pretty much loaded up with just a lot of tech earnings that are going to be important because that'll set the tone for, you know, the mega caps. And I think we'll have to listen to the earnings calls to see what kind of CapEx we're going to get, because depends on that CapEx, we could see some moves up and down on some of the other plays that we have going on that are more AI CapEx positioned, right? Some of the other comments
SAP is
on
also
here.
Tuesday morning as well. SAP.
Yeah, SAP.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see some of the ones. Next decade. Next decade is going to be a really long-term thesis, mainly because that's a play on liquefied natural gas, and they were down because of some regulatory issues that had come up. But with the Trump administration, I don't think that's going to be a real problem. So the one thing I'll say is that unless they get their new trains up and running, or at least approved, they're not going to move past that $10 mark for a while. So really everything depends on FIDs from trains 4 and 5. But that's something that I'll discuss with Matt on Cash Flow Chronicles. Celsius.
You guys are going to
yeah.
talk about it then.
Yeah, Celsius is a dog. I still see Celsius everywhere, but
Where the hell is Celsius?
pointing. I don't know when their earnings are. I'm just looking at some of the comments. So Celsius.
Oh, my bad.
I don't know what's going to happen with Celsius, but the data that I'm seeing is not good. So there's a lot of competition in the space, and it seems like maybe they were just a fad that could eventually go the way of, you know, I don't know, some other energy companies, drinks companies. Fannie and Freddie.
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say Blackstone is actually reporting next Thursday before open. That's actually a pretty important one macro-wise for the housing market. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
So is
can you hit the filter icon? Can you hit the filter icon and see if you can filter based on like market cap? There you go. Just do
100 billion.
Yeah, do 100 billion plus only. There you go. Because these are probably the most important companies that we need to keep a track of. But you can see, dude, Wednesdays are going to be a big day for the market.
Yeah, Wednesday
after close.
That's a market mover right there.
Yeah, you've got 3 of the Magnificent 7 reporting on the same day. That's when does Google report?
I think it's the following week. Google and Amazon are the following week with the AMD.
So let's see.
Disney Wednesday morning.
Disney.
Google is Tuesday, and no shit. Where's Amazon?
Ooh.
Did I miss Amazon?
Monday the 3rd. Monday, February 3rd.
That's what? That's weird.
Yeah.
A Monday?
And then Google is reporting on the 4th, so the day after.
Wow, that is weird. Okay.
Why is that weird?
Then, well, it's weird because Amazon usually reports on Thursdays after hours.
Oh, okay.
They usually don't report them, but I guess they're reporting the same time as Palantir. So who's going to move the markets, Palantir or Amazon? We'll see. You know, actually, also, I forgot to say Wednesday is FOMC, but I think all that stuff is already priced into the market anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting week next week.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. I mean, you know, we'll take it week by week, but next week is going to be an interesting week. Tomorrow's actually going to be an interesting day, too. Like I said, Texas Instruments reports. That's a big semiconductor company. Has to do with the processing units put in mobile devices and small devices. So we'll see what happens to that one. It's pretty telling for China as well. China sells, but I don't know, man. Crazy week. Yeah. Anything?
Yeah, and I'm sure we get some more executive actions by the Trump admin too. So
dude, we'll probably get some more executive stuff tonight. Just
yeah. I think we'll get like some more
5 minutes.
confirmations. Confirmations are the biggest thing right now. So, all right, brother, I think we can end it here.
Yeah.
So,
thank you everyone for joining. We got 1,707 viewers right now. Appreciate joining. Please check out our channel on youtube.com. It is Hidden Edge Pod, spelled exactly how it sounds. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe on the channel. Appreciate you guys joining. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys later.
Later.